Hello, everyone. We'd like to introduce how to use our wraparound heat exchanger selection tool. I'm Mark Stevens. I'm the HVAC product specialist for ACT. I travel pretty much most of the continent, North America, and anywhere that I'm needed to help and support you. We're going to talk about a tool today that is registration free and can help you design and select our wraparound heat pipe heat exchangers. One of the first things that you take a look at on a standard typical wraparound configuration is the incoming outside air, what your cooling coil temperature is, and typically these types of systems work best with 100% chilled water outside DOAS type units. And so now we know the cooling coil temp is 4747 and that the discharge temperature or supply air temperature to the building needs to be 68 degrees. So with this configuration on an 18,000 CFM unit, that's 4 rows with a coil that's 72 by 82 fin height, it will give you 68 degree delivered air, nice dry delivered air. The other parameter that you may need to know also is this distance between the pre-cool coil that wraps around the cooling coil. So once we have that, we can actually move on to the configuration tool. Our web-based tool is simple to use. If you want to take a moment and scan that QR code, it'll take you right to that section of our website where you can look at this tool. Again, registration free, no passwords. You can get on there immediately and start using it. It's an easy web tool. And all you have to do is list some of these parameters: fins per inch. The pressure drop is automatically calculated. If you're in Europe, you might want to select metric for more familiarity with the numbers that are being produced. And you need your outside air, as we showed earlier, delivered air parameters. And in the area that you're going to enter in your project info, you're going to bring city and state and other things that are relevant. So let's go through the actual tool itself. So when you pop onto our website and you click the selection tool link, you will get this first introductory area that you would list project title, put your name and company contacts, emails, phone numbers. And a lot of times these are very typical questions. Do you require corrosion coating? Typically, any installation within 10 miles of a salty body of water would require electrofin coating by code. And then are the casings stainless or galvanized? And there's that gap distance that we talked about. One of the other nice features with our product offering is that we do have capacity control for reheat. So depending upon how much or how little reheat you want to deliver to the space, you have full control of that with control valves. And we can talk more about that in later videos, but it's not overly complex. So now we scroll down to the actual area that has all of the selection criteria. And so all of the red circles basically are inputs that you can affect. So the WAHX options is that you can enter in face velocity or dimensions. If you know the coil dimensions, which typically mimic the actual cooling coil, you can put those numbers in. And then once you put in your CFM value, it will calculate the feet per minute. Down here is where you put your incoming air, what your cooling coil temperature is running at, and typically it's a chilled water coil that we prefer, not a DX coil, and what you want that supply air temperature to be. Easiest thing from here now is you click this compute, and it will give you the actual calculated value, where in this case, this particular group of parameters generates a 4-row wraparound heat pipe at 12 fins per inch, and you save 15 tons of cooling and 180 megabTUs of reheat. If you wanted a specific number of fins, you could slide these bars over to just limit it to 10 or to 8 or 14, or just let it free select. The choice is yours. So it's pretty much as easy as that. The other option you have is to click this View PDF. And if you want further analysis on your selection, you can hit Submit to ACT, and that'll pop up on my desk and a variety of engineers in our inside sales team to make sure somebody addresses your questions and gives you a hand. So let's actually do a live demo. So we're going to click on this live link here. We're now in the live portion of the demonstration for the wraparound heat pipe heat exchanger selection tool. There's some basic information about how to use the tool. We have a design city that you can select. If you already know what your design point temperatures are, you really don't need this reference. But what we'd like to know, if you do send us this as our representative or even your customers, just give us some basic information about what the project's about. In here is a very typical question about corrosion coatings. Usually any installation that's within 10 miles of a sea coast with salt water should require some type of electrofin or Harrisite coating. Coil casings, if they're in a salty or corrosion environment, probably go stainless. The other area that we'd like to identify is the gap distance around the cooling coil. So that's a specification that's totally flexible, up to about 30 feet apart. So you have a lot of flexibility there. And depending upon the design, there is reheat or capacity control so that you can change the amount of reheat that's being produced so that you don't exceed your delivered air temp, but also maintain your delivered air temp as temperatures drop. So we'd like to continue on. And if there are any specific notes to the project, you can list those here as well. So let's go into the different screens. The first area that we like to start with is this WAHX option. And if you don't know the actual dimensions of the coil, you can just leave it at face velocity and it will calculate 500 feet per minute at the CFMs that are located right here in airflow. But we, in this particular application, do know the actual coil sizes. So we're going to say this particular project has 58 and 100 degree fin length. Fin height is 58, 100 fin length. Now, what's going to happen is as soon as I click the CFMs, it's going to be a problem because that coil size is way too large for the 1000 CFM. So we're going to run this system at about 20,000 CFM. Get my zeros right. Hit enter. And so we're good there. And then we're going to leave this 95 degree design point day at 75 wet bulb. Our cooling coil looks good at 52, 52. And I'm going to make a slight change to the delivered air temp at 65. So now with that, we're pretty much set to do a compute. But you know what? I want to limit this to 12 fins per inch. So there's a little slide bar up here that I can limit. I could have just as easily made this a 10 fin per inch coming down here, but let's leave it at 12. So I hit compute, and what it does, it gives us a result of 3 rows, 12 fins per inch, and we save 22 tons of cooling and 267 megabTUs of reheat. The two other cool things is you can see here that it tells me I'm at 496 feet per minute, and the combined pressure drop of the two coils is at 0.55. Down here, there's other useful info as far as the WAHX megabTUs of total energy, the difference in tons, the sensible and latent conversions. So all that information is there to review. So a lot of great information. The other interesting thing here is I can hit this View PDF. And what this does, it sends a download to where I can open this file and I can see exactly what my selection was, and then I can save this and send it on to my customer or to a rep. You really don't need to worry about it other than for us by just clicking submit to ACT, and this shows up at all of our engineering desks and customer service and inside sales desks. So there's a great way to support you. So hopefully that made our selection tool pretty easy for you to try out. Again, it's registration free, so just pop on and start using it. Thanks for your time.